All right, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always fun to be back.
Today we're looking at a women's college basketball game. One that you requested, actually.
Oh, nice.
It was Norfolk State versus Alabama.
Okay.
From November 13th.
Got it.
And you specifically wanted to look at it from Norfolk State's perspective.
Interesting, even though they lost.
Exactly, even though they lost.
Okay.
So we're going to try to unpack what they did well, where they struggled, and what it might all mean for the rest of their season.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes just looking at the box score can be deceiving.
Sure.
Alabama won this one 68-58.
Right.
But the lead changed 4 times, so it was a much closer game than that final score might suggest.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting, to see how Norfolk State managed to hang in there with, kind of a powerhouse program.
For sure. So the game took place at Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
So right off the bat, Norfolk State's not playing on their home turf. And there was a decent crowd, 2,303.
Correct.
But it wasn't like a completely overwhelming, hostile environment you sometimes see
Right.
in these, big-time college arenas.
Yeah.
So that might have helped Norfolk State settle in a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring that up, because playing on the road can be so challenging.
Oh, totally.
Especially against a team like Alabama.
Yeah.
So the fact that Norfolk State was able to stay composed and competitive in that setting says a lot about their resilience.
Definitely. So let's talk about scoring.
Okay.
Norfolk State really came alive in the third quarter.
Overtime.
They put up 23 points.
Wow.
They actually outscored Alabama in that quarter.
Interesting.
And get this, their three-point shooting percentage for the game was 39.1%.
Okay.
That's higher than Alabama's 28.6%.
Wow. So they were letting them fly.
Yeah. It seems like they were not shy about letting those threes fly.
That's a great observation, and it's something I think we should dig into a little bit deeper. Because this wasn't just a few lucky shots, It seemed like Norfolk State had a deliberate strategy of utilizing the three-pointer.
Interesting.
Their ability to shoot efficiently from beyond the arc kept them in the game.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to their coaching and the players' skill set.
For sure. And it wasn't just one or two players hitting those shots either.
Right.
Which, makes it even harder for the other team to defend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we should definitely take a look at some of the standout players for Norfolk State.
Absolutely. So let's start with Kira Wheeler,
Okay.
number 22.
Got it.
She led the team in scoring with 19 points.
Wow.
And she was remarkably efficient from the field and from three-point range.
Nice.
But what really impressed me was her all-around contribution. She also grabbed 7 rebounds.
Oh, wow.
So this tells me that she's a player who's, she's hungry for the ball and wants to make an impact on both ends of the court.
Yeah, it's like she's channeling that Dennis Rodman energy. Going after every rebound.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of all-around players, we got to mention Diamond Johnson.
Okay.
Number 03, she had 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 steals.
Now, those stats really paint a picture of her versatility. Not only was she scoring, she was crashing the boards, creating havoc on defense with those steals.
Yeah.
And that kind of multifaceted impact is invaluable for a team like Norfolk State.
Absolutely.
Especially when going up against a tougher opponent.
It definitely seems like she was all over the court, just making things happen. And we can't forget Nia Fields,
Right.
number 02. She also contributed 14 points, going an impressive 4 for 7 from three-point range.
Wow, she was on fire from beyond the arc. And to put that into perspective, that kind of shooting accuracy can single-handedly swing the momentum of a game.
Right, for sure.
Especially against a team that might underestimate their outside shooting prowess.
You're telling me. But Fields wasn't just about scoring.
Okay.
She also dished out 5 assists, showing her ability to create opportunities for her teammates. So we're seeing a pattern here. Norfolk State has some serious offensive weapons, and they weren't afraid to use them.
Right, and it's not just about the individual talent.
Yeah.
It seems like they have a system in place that emphasizes ball movement and finding the open shooter.
Right.
And that kind of offensive strategy can be incredibly effective, especially when you have players who can knock down shots consistently.
Yeah, it's like they're playing a game of chess, constantly trying to outmaneuver Alabama's defense,
Right.
create open looks.
Totally.
And for a while, it seemed to be working.
It really did. Yeah, it felt like every time Alabama tried to pull away, Norfolk State would answer right back.
Right.
With a big three-pointer or a drive to the basket.
Yep.
They never let Alabama get too comfortable.
And that's a sign of a well-coached team with a clear game plan.
Absolutely.
They knew they couldn't let Alabama dictate the tempo,
Right.
so they played to their strengths and kept the pressure on. Yeah. You know, it's funny, when I requested this deep dive,
Okay.
I was mostly curious about those moments where Norfolk State took the lead,
Oh, yeah.
even if it was just for a short time.
Right.
Those moments really showed their potential to compete with the top programs.
Absolutely. Those lead changes, even fleeting, can be psychologically significant.
Yeah.
It disrupts the favored team's rhythm and instills a sense of belief in the underdog.
Totally. Like they were saying, hey, we belong here and we're not backing down.
Exactly.
But of course, even with those flashes of brilliance, they did face some challenges.
Right.
Their performance in the paint was a bit lacking.
Okay.
They only managed to score 22 points inside, compared to Alabama's 34.
That's a great point, and it highlights a potential area for improvement.
For sure.
While their perimeter shooting was impressive, becoming too reliant on the three-pointer can be risky.
Yeah.
If those shots aren't falling, you need to have a reliable inside game to balance things out.
Right. So, do you think their struggles in the paint were due to Alabama's interior defense? Or was it more about Norfolk State's offensive strategy?
It's probably a combination of both.
Yeah.
Alabama likely has a strong defensive presence inside,
Right.
and Norfolk State might have made a conscious decision to prioritize their outside shooting.
Right.
But regardless of the reasons, it's something they'll need to address if they want to take their game to the next level.
Totally. And speaking of areas for improvement, those 17 turnovers, you know how frustrating it is when your team keeps turning the ball over?
Ugh.
Well, those miscues gave Alabama extra possessions,
Right.
which can really add up over the course of the game.
Turnovers are the silent killer in basketball.
Yeah.
They can quickly erase any momentum you've built and give the opposing team easy scoring opportunities.
Totally.
It's no coincidence that Alabama scored 15 points off of those turnovers.
That's a pretty significant number.
Yeah.
If they can clean up those turnovers and find a bit more consistency in the paint, they could really turn some of these close losses into victories.
Exactly. It's all about refining those finer points of the game.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, they were playing against Alabama, a team that consistently ranks among the best in the nation.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
Yeah.
This wasn't just some random opponent.
Right.
Holding their own against a program like Alabama should give them a huge confidence boost moving forward.
Oh.
It shows they have the talent and the coaching to compete at a high level.
It's like a boxer going toe-to-toe with a champion
Yeah.
and proving they can take a punch. Even if they don't win the fight, they gain valuable experience
Totally.
and the belief that they can hang with the best.
That's a great analogy. So, zooming out a bit,
Okay.
what are your overall takeaways from this game? What impressed you the most about Norfolk State?
Their resilience and their ability to execute their game plan even under pressure really stood out to me. They didn't shy away from the challenge, they embraced it.
Yeah.
And their outside shooting was remarkable. They hit 9 three-pointers throughout the game.
Right.
That kind of firepower can keep them in any game, no matter the opponent.
Yeah, their shooting was definitely a highlight. It felt like they had shooters all over the court,
Right,
which makes them so difficult to defend.
absolutely.
But beyond the stats,
Yeah.
their energy and their refusal to back down were truly inspiring. They played with a lot of heart.
Absolutely. And that kind of intangible quality can be contagious. It can lift your teammates and even rattle your opponents.
Right.
They might not have walked away with the win, but they earned the respect of everyone watching.
It really felt like they left it all out on the court,
Yeah.
which is something you love to see as a fan.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They gave Alabama a real run for their money,
Yeah,
and they showed that they're a team to be reckoned with.
no doubt about it. And for our listener who requested this Norfolk State deep dive,
Yeah.
I think this game offers some really valuable insights. It wasn't just a moral victory.
Yeah.
It was a display of their potential.
Totally. It's like they got a taste of what it's like to play at that elite level.
Right.
And now they know they can hang with the big dogs.
Yeah. That experience is invaluable.
Absolutely.
It's one thing to practice in scrimmage, but it's another thing entirely to face that level of competition in a real game situation.
Right. And for those of you who might be new to following Norfolk State,
Yeah.
keep an eye on their stats as the season progresses,
Okay.
particularly their three-point shooting percentage and their points in the paint.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see how those numbers evolve.
Absolutely. Those metrics can tell you a lot about their strategic adjustments and their overall development as a team.
So to wrap things up, what's the one key takeaway you'd like our listener to ponder?
I think the biggest takeaway is that growth often comes from adversity.
Okay. Okay.
Norfolk State might not have won this game, but they learned a lot about themselves and what they're capable of.
Right.
They identified their strengths and their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And now they have the opportunity to use that knowledge to improve.
Beautifully put. Sometimes those tough losses can be the most valuable learning experiences.
For sure.
So for all you basketball enthusiasts out there, don't sleep on Norfolk State.
Yeah.
They might just surprise you this season. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive,
Absolutely.
and we'll catch you next time.
Access granted.